Good morning. We are going to start our month of looking at the upper body, shoulders, and neck. And start as we normally do with a little check-in. Just 2 to 5 breaths to feel how you're holding yourself, how you're working with gravity, rest, digestion, emotion, breath. What messages are noticeable? And then start with a little shaking, a little bouncing. I've been like a little bit out of my bouncing practice because it's been a really busy time and I had to just wake up early and go way too many days. So it's really nice. Just shake it free. And as always, be uh, interested to get every part of your body, but let's also make sure that we're getting our upper back and our shoulders and feeling around the sides of your rib cage. Sometimes a little back and forth. It really helps to get in there. Any places that you really need to free, you can focus on. I get halfway there. It's a short one today because we're going to keep in this shaking realm in a specific way in a moment. Fill up your breath underneath it all. Maybe we get inspired by the Olympics. Yes. And then also in your hands and your fingers and the elbows and the wrists and the joints of the arms. And then just a breath or two to feel what that might have done for you. And then we're going to take a little test, keeping yourself mostly forward. We can turn a little bit, but mostly facing forward. Take one arm, spread your fingers, and just backstroke and get a read on what you feel. So I'm not holding myself totally square, but I'm not allowing myself to turn with my arm. And when you feel the sort of muscle map of what's happening, we're going to support ourselves on bent legs with the other arm. And the arm that you just circled, shake out your fingertips. And really no muscle, no effort. Shake out your palm and your fingers. Imagine all those little bones jiggling around. We're going to take this jiggle up through the arm, through the wrist, all angles up through the forearm. Imagine the muscles kind of sliding around the bones, up through your elbow. And just noticing if you start to muscle it, really let it go. And then up through the upper arm and all the muscles of the upper arm flopping around your arm bone. And then get curious if this oscillation can go into your shoulder and even into the side of your upper back. Work with gravity and randomness. Really try to shake any sticky spots free. It's a commonplace. And it can be a little tricky. Some patience, you can get into some new territory. Last few moments. And then come on up. And with the same arm, do the same test and see if it feels any different. Usually it feels more different for me. I think I've been doing a lot of upper body work, and so it's just still sore. But hopefully you found a little bit more freedom. Let's test out the other arm, and maybe the contrast will make itself known. Oh yeah, definitely. Take 2 or 3, spread your fingers, get the muscle map of what you are feeling on that second side. And when you have that, support yourself. And same thing. Think of starting from the tiniest, furthest places in your fingers, really easy to let go. And then through the hand and the wrist. It's going to fall off and through your forearm, the elbow. Think of all the tissues shaking off the bone. It would never really, don't worry. Up through the upper arm. We have so many weird metaphors. Less muscle, more wiggle jiggle. And that vibration up through your shoulder and into the upper back. And so some of us have, more tightness in the upper back, some of us more in the upper shoulder, some of us more in the chest in the front. You could think of aiming into any of those places. Trying to just get movement where it ain't yet. Last few moments. And then come on up and give a little test on that second arm. Yeah, a little more space. Good, one more. Yep, shoulder circles. What's really happening here, or mostly happening here, is that our shoulder blade is moving around our back. Let's go forward and see if you can feel this like wing that comes around from the back. We're first going to mobilize the shoulder blades, a little backstroke, because the shoulder blade is really where the arm connects to. So check it out. Probably can't see huge detail, but the shoulder blades are about more or less the size of our hands up in the upper back, sometimes higher than we think. And I want us to just see what we can do to round the upper back and then squeeze the shoulder blades together. A little effort in the arms can be helpful, but it's not required. I'm going to push my spine back wide and imagine skin going wide and then squeezing in the center. And if that's not happening too much, this is good medicine to just get that movement possible. I'm going to play with a few different directions of moving those shoulder blades. Let's alternate up and down. So if I shrug one shoulder up and down and the other up and down. And once you get this going, see if you can really focus on the back more than your arm. Although your arm is helping, sometimes it can overdo. Really get that moving in your back. One more each side. So we did forward and back, up and down. Let's do in and out. So we'll take our arms out to the side, and my arms will be slightly forward. And bent is great. It could be straight, but this just keeps us a little more focused on the next joint up. And I'm going to think of the direction of my upper arm, and I'm going to slide in and out. Let's just do one at a time to start and out. So from my elbow into my spine, sliding in and out. The in might feel like when we squeezed before, but we're going to go out rather than forward and back and out. One more. And then the other arm from the elbow in and out. In and out while you're aware of your whole body. In your breath and out. In and out. Two more. One more. Shake out your arms. Let's go for both in our cactus that's slightly forward. And now we're going to make circles as if we're washing a window in front of us. So from the elbows to the spine, what we just did, squeeze in, then take your shoulder blades up, then take them out to your elbows and down. So I think of squeezing my spine, going up to my ears, reaching out through the elbows and down through the armpits. And while this is happening, up out. Keep your eyes up and down. So what we want to notice too is if our head is doing something funny, if my chin is dropped, my shoulder blades are not moving. So chest open, neck free. We'll do one more. If it's feeling awkward, you're building more brain cells, so that's good too. And really, clasp your hands behind your head. Really feel the roundness of your head, kind of hold on to it. And now just lift your eyes and feel how that can push your head back and lift your elbows. And take a few breaths here as if your feet are going deeper into the ground, but your eyes are continuing up. Can you feel the balloon of your lungs through the whole chest? And then release. And then just look down and notice if it feels different to breathe into your whole chest. So front, back, and sides. So when we're thinking about patterns of daily life, often we're way too stuck looking down. Let's clasp my hands behind the head again. And one of the best overall balancing actions we could do is to look up and look up from the base of your throat. So we're going to keep this looking up and look around a little bit. Keep the weight of your head in your hands. And just let your arms, torso, follow in a way that feels natural. But keep looking up, like you want to look up higher and higher. You might find a stretch or two and you could breathe and stay, or you might just like to explore a little bit. Make sure you're breathing, jaw relaxed. And then see if you can keep the body in that looking up, but look forward with your eyes. And stretch your palms to the sky and release. Let's interlace again. Push your palms forward. Look at your knuckles. So we're going to look up by the time we get to the top. And then body stays looking up, look forward and stretch your arms out to the side. Two more, maybe switch the thumbs. Look at your knuckles. And body looks up, eyes look forward. One more. Let's make our way to the floor in a way together. We're going to go together. So come to the back of your mat area, feet wide, turned out. Let's sweep our arms, and as our arms go up, look up. And just 3 times, squat down, feel your palms drop down. Maybe your gaze wants to look down and follow your hands, but especially find this lift at the top of your gaze, of your throat and hands. And then one more, we'll take it down to the floor. Our hands and knees. And let's think of cat-cow as a scapula mobilization game. So I like to soften my elbows. It's one more degree of freedom for my upper back. And start to move your shoulder blades around on your rib cage. And notice how that invites your spine to circle, to extend and flex. And then it's a little bit of a dance with 2 leaders. So your spine could lead and then pass off to your scapula, your shoulder blades moving around. Let your breath flow in and out in its own coordination, depending on what pathways you're finding. And then as you're moving, imagine you could watch yourself from outside to see 2 things. Are you staying in a certain groove? Are there grooves in places that you haven't yet experienced? And then what is happening in your head? Notice if your head is falling towards the floor, which is forward, like we just did standing. Last 2 moments. And then sit back to child's pose, and let's bend the elbows, stack your hands, and just have a moment to feel the weight of your hips and head. And then we'll come back to hands and knees. We'll give our hands a little bit of width, so outer shoulder width. Stretch your right leg back, a couple ankle circles. We can't forget about our wonderful lower body, both directions in your ankle circles. And then knee to your belly. Give that leg freedom, whatever it wants. Maybe some hip circles, maybe just reaching. And see if, now initiating from your hips, or rather the one leg, you can also feel your scapula, your shoulder blades moving on your back. You're just noticing that they are not in one place. They are not trying to hold still. When everything moves, something moves, everything moves. And then come down, stretch your left leg, just a bit of a yawn first, ankle circles, both ways. And then leg freedom, maybe hip circles, maybe different than the first, but let your upper back unglue and respond without making it or needing to make it complicated, too effortful. Too often, I'll see students just forgetting what's happening upstairs when something's happening downstairs. Come back to child's pose, make a pillow, and just a breath to soften and feel. Come on back to hands and knees. And then we'll sweep our right arm up and give the arm freedom to move above, behind, below. We have one that's more steady, one that's more exploratory. And let's see if we can feel how they're talking between both shoulder blades. In modern life, we just, number one, tend to have a lack of variety. So trust what feels needed and freeing, but also observe how it's affecting both sides. And change when you're ready. The bottom arm can be straight or bent. Are you noticing that? One side might feel really different. And on the second side, just observe what's happening in your head, in your gaze. We'll talk about that more. And then let's give our knees a little break. Down dog. For a few moments, welcome a walk or a wag, or just your steady yawning feeling. And then let's step the right foot forward to a low lunge. Right hand to your knee. And what tends to happen is we're kind of focused on where that foot stepped, or for the patterns of life, maybe our head is forward. What would happen if you stand on your hands, roll your shoulders back a little bit, and look up as if the line of your spine was going to continue to the sky? Just a few breaths to notice the front and back of your upper body nice and wide open. And then hands down, let's lift the back knee and take a little walk over to the other side. For our low lunge, and notice this tendency to kind of be looking down at the floor. It's fine, it's natural, but let's press a little bit through the hands, roll the shoulders back in a way that stays wide in the back and the front, looking up. Couple breaths. Jaw relaxed. And then hands down. Return to the front. Your choice, down dog or hands and knees. And then the left foot forward. And then your choice, a low lunge or a high lunge, depending how you're feeling today. Let's take the left hand instead of onto our knee, behind our head. And I like to really feel the skull. And looking in the same relationship as if we looked up when we were standing. So it's kind of up in the diagonal. Feel your head press back into your hand a little bit. Make sure the bottom hand is pushing the floor away. And find a few breaths into that upper chest and armpit. And then touch the floor inside. We'll switch to the back, to the right leg. High lunge on the straight leg or low lunge on the bent knee. And we'll take our right hand behind our head and just think of using your gaze, like you're looking up and slightly back. There's places we could go too far. It's a little hard to go there, but just check that you still feel supported in the bottom arm, long in the back of your neck, able to breathe up into your chest. And then touch the floor, return to the front. And let's rest child's pose for a moment. And then come on up to sitting with your towel or sarong or fabric, whatever it is. And let's just sit cross-legged or whatever is more comfortable for you. And we're going to open up this towel. And, every different towel has a different texture and stretch, and some have zero stretch, right? So it's all different experience. And hold with your hands on either side of the center. And you want a little bit of width in the center to go behind your head, kind of like our hands clasped into the roundness of our head. And then I have a little bit of a contrast here where the weight of my head and the pull of my arms find a happy balance where my arms don't have to work very hard. But I'm going to feel this support to just let my head go back like a hammock and relax my shoulders. And then imagine that we're going to do that. We're just going to think about a back dive. We're not going to do a back dive. We're just going to think of one and feel where you can breathe easy. And then just slightly look side to side. So now my head is falling back a little bit in the area above my ear. I'll take a breath there and then very, very slowly back to center and to the other side. And so this is a little bit of your own timing. And what we want to watch out for as we go back and forth is our shoulders hiking up. How can we feel the elbows reaching, the shoulders dropping? And the least effort, it's not zero. Jaw relaxed. And in the next breath or three, come on out and just take a moment to feel. Wiggle it out if you need to. Our whole shoulder girdle we could think of as a big coat on a hanger. And the center of the hanger is right at the base of the throat. So let's actually cross our hands and tap on our collarbones. Be calming for the nervous system, so a little bonus. And then come to the same side and follow those collarbones to the center. And look down and see if you notice anything in those bones at the center. And then look up. Maybe two more times. Do you notice your collarbones moving at all? It's subtle. But we could imagine when we look forward that our hanger, the two ends of our hanger, are narrowing forward. And the back of the jacket's getting more stretched, and the front of the jacket is getting a little crunchy and squished. And when we look up and that front of our throat lifts, that we're opening the front of the jacket. So this is one of the primary things that's going to keep us free in the whole upper body. Let's stretch one leg out to the side in a half straddle and do this experiment with our head again. We're going to add some pieces, but you can stay with just the simple leaning back and forth. So we're getting our nervous system to feel safe with the support. And we can also give a little resistance for strength. So they're two different things and they can overlap. We just have a little different position. We can also, now you get to choose. We can also tip our spine, but keep our head in a similar relationship to our spine. So I'm going to look up and tilt my body so I can look up more, but I still have the support from my fabric. If you're not sure, you're like, I don't know, I'm feeling not sure what's up and down, you just stay vertical. It's wonderful. Jaw released. We still have this dropping of the shoulder blades. And we always want to come up into the center before we release. Give our arms a little breather, change sides. And same ways to play. So first, just the hammock support, a little turn. Second layer, if you want, a little resistance. And third layer, maybe a little tipping, but don't think it through. Start by looking around. Start from your eyes. Depending on the fabric you have, your arms might be more or less active. So if you need a break sooner than me, listen to your body. Maybe it's my last week of training, I'm feeling it. And then you're also just clued in, like, is there a spot that feels like, oh, I could really marinate here? Whew. Take a little break. We're going to use that soon, but let's give just a couple shoulder rolls and feel your shoulder blades moving around again. So on top of this hanger idea, a lot of times we just get stuck in the back and probably stuck in that same place. Let's come to cross-legged and circle your shoulders, opposite, backstroke. And then imagine a puppet string on your elbows. And now imagine that your elbow is moving your shoulder. The elbow is moving my shoulder blade. So I'm really starting from outside. And then let's scoop our elbow forward. So we're going to scoop our elbow forward and back, scoop it forward and back. It feels very unnatural, not practical, maybe. Let's do that while we're looking up and just focus on moving your upper back as if your elbows are doing the movement. And then touch your shoulders and keep that going. Allow your spine to follow. You can go slow, you could go quick. Release. So I really like the feedback of the towel. But this can also be done with your hands clasped behind your head. Let's take one leg out to the side again. And we're going to go forward with the head going back at the same time. So I'm going to show with my hands clasped so that I don't get muffled. I'm going to start from my looking up, and I'm going to feel the integration, connection, slight little bit of tone in the back of my neck. And then I'm going to look down, but I'm going to keep my head slightly pushing back. So this is a bit more of a workout. And the more parallel I get to gravity, the more of a workout. So we could stay a little bit up for the neck, depending also on our leg flexibility. And I'm just not holding static, so I'm able to move around. I could still look side to side and still slightly, like my head is holding up my arms now. And I want to be able to breathe and smile and sing. And then let's come up like we're looking up and change sides. Maybe you want to try it with the fabric. Maybe you like your hands. Start looking up and feel that same relationship as we take it a little forward or a lot forward. Think of your head holding up your arms, and your arms more relaxed. So my shoulders are relaxed. Again, you might find one place to marinate or a little exploration. Are your shoulders really relaxed? And look up to come on up. And just take a moment to feel. And then one more time to either hands and knees or downward dog. Let's stretch the right leg back, either on hands and knees behind you up to the sky and down dog. Just a big yawn. And one more time, step to lunge with either the back leg straight or the back leg bent. And now we're going to give the top arm freedom. We did this in hands and knees, but now we're a bit more available to more space. And we can circle in many different directions. We could peel up from the floor. We can find micro movements at the top. Stand on the bottom hand and feel that stability is also mobile. It's not fixed. I can be strong and both sides of my upper back can move around. For 2 more breaths, can you find like one interesting line of a stretch that feels helpful for you? And then we'll change sides. And the suggestion would be that we have a nice wide distance from the front foot and the front hand, whether we're straight leg or bent knee. And this second side could be totally different. I'll let your arm be free. It can be bent, it could be straight. Think of moving from deeper on the back than just the arm that we see, from the shoulder blade, from the sense of your rib cage. Feel that supporting arm is strong but not stuck. And then we'll change sides again to the front, to your down dog or your table pose. And then left leg back or up, one breath. And step your left foot forward. One more time with free arms. And I want to see if we might try to keep watching our fingers. So we might go a little slower than a lot of movements, so our eyes can still track. And notice when looking up is kind of looking around ourselves. Notice what that does for your upper body. So wherever your arm goes, try to track it. And you might again find a new place of stretch or hanging out. And change side. Because our shoulder is such an open joint, And so much of daily life is down and in front of us. Just the free form movement is so helpful. And then even more so when we pair it with this looking around, looking up. Mhm. Are you breathing? 2 more breaths. And then let's walk halfway back into a wide-legged rest of the upper body. You could think of it that way, resting the upper body. What do your legs want to do? Maybe they want to bend, straighten, or a little shared right and left. Let your head hang heavy. And then when you're ready, walk to the front. 5 breaths to meet in child's pose. You might want to go straight there. You might want to experience your downward dog. Curious, where would you look to make it different in your downward dog? And then when you do come to child's pose, knees wide, elbows wide, make a pillow. And feel the breath behind your heart. The weight of your hips. And then come on up. So I wanted to give us a little longer rest today in honor of the new moon in a way that's also supportive for the neck. So now we're going to take our towel, it's wrong thing, and roll it up into something that is about as big as your own fist. Depending on your towel and the thickness, might be different. If I had a real bath towel, I'd probably go the long way. So this would be much longer. Length is much easier to deal with. Let's set that down near to where we're going to lay down with our head back. I'm going to get there in 1 second. However you'd like to come down, so many options. And let's just place our feet on the floor and feel the weight of your head. Find a place where your arms are wide enough where the most contact with your upper back is possible on the floor. And notice that's different if you put your arms on your body or wide, where that is for you. And then let's let our ear fall like we're turning our head. And it's subtle. Look up in the diagonal. And then relax the look and turn to the other side. I have a little hairdo problem in the way. So I'm going to let my ear fall. And then I want to look in the upper diagonal. And then I just rewind and come up. We're just getting some of the intrinsic muscles in the neck that we worked anti-gravity to feel a different relationship to gravity. So as I'm looking behind, I can't go under the floor. I feel a little tiny pressure on the floor. And then I let it go and come back up to the center. Noticing the contact point with the ground as I just let my ear fall. And then a little looking up. And relax and come back. One more each side. And just notice if there's any other tone or response. Maybe even the breath. And the other side. I'm noticing on one side, my arms slightly, ever so slightly reach down as I look up. For some reason, it's only one side. And then drop your knees to one side and look up in the other diagonal. Few breaths. Just keep your eyes looking, reaching without needing to work your head. Notice that there's a little bit of engagement through the neck. And then bring your legs back and then your head back. And legs to the other side. Look in the upper diagonal. The muscles that move our eyeballs are connected into the base of the neck. So we are strengthening the tiniest little occipital muscles in the base of the neck. And then come on back. Then we'll take our rolled up fist size or so. Just know where the end is in case you needed to adjust the size. But we're going to take that behind our neck. And if you can, use your hand to lift your head. We don't need to strengthen the front so much. And then usually a fist size is a good personal measurement, but you can feel how to meet the curve of your neck without pushing it, but to feel that giving that curve also gives space. And depending on the size, if it's like a little bit small, mine's feeling a little bit squishy, pushing it up towards the skull end can be nice. You'll be able to feel what's comfortable for you. And then let your legs and arms extend long. And as your eyes close, imagine just ever so slightly that behind your eyelids, you're looking to the back of your head. Find comfort and ease. Get picky. And then we'll enjoy guided relaxation by placing your awareness at the top of your head, right outside on the top of your head. And on your next inhale, breathe that awareness into the center of your head. To the center of your head. Imagine your eyes could fall back into the center of your head. And then breathe the awareness down and above the palate, so above the roof of your mouth, relaxing around the upper jaw, the sinuses, the ears, the lower jaw. And the next inhale, breathe your awareness to the back of your throat. And then flow down into the base of the throat at the center collarbones where we were exploring. And allow your awareness to follow your right collarbone out to your shoulder. Feel the round of your shoulder from within. Your shoulder blade behind, your collarbone in the front. And in your mind, follow down your upper arm bone, your humerus. Smooth like a slide to your elbow. And then imagine flowing down between the two bones of our forearm, the ulna and the radius. Doesn't matter where, don't worry about it. Into your wrist. And imagine through the wrist, each of the 5 rivers of your fingers going through the palm and out each finger to the tip. And reverse through each of the finger rivers, through the palm and the wrist, through the 2 bones of the lower arm, the elbow, the upper arm bone, the shoulder and the sandwich of your shoulder blade and collarbone. And then follow your collarbone back to the center, to your heart. And then follow your left collarbone from the center out to your shoulder. Feel into the roundness of your shoulder and the shoulder blade behind you. And flow down the upper arm bone. Can you sense the very center? Through the elbow, through your forearm between the 2 bones, into the wrist. And out all 5 fingers. And then reverse through the fingertips of all 5 fingers into the palm and wrist. Between the 2 forearm bones, elbow, along the upper arm bone to the shoulder, shoulder blade, and then collarbone brings you back to your heart in the center. You feel the breath expand from the center, dropping down into your belly. Into your hip on the right, down your upper leg bone, your femur, into the knee where we meet 2 lower leg bones. Imagine going between them, down into your ankle, and through the heel and the 5 toe rivers. And then reversing up the 5 toe rivers and heel through the ankle, between the 2 lower leg bones, through your knee, through the single thigh bone to your hip, center of your pelvis or the low belly. into your left hip. And down the thigh bone, through your knee to the two lower leg bones. Through your ankle. And through your heel and all 5 toe rivers. And then reverse through the toe rivers and your heel, through the ankle, through the 2 lower leg bones, knee, single thigh bone to your hip, to the center of your pelvis, your belly. Feel your breath flow between your belly and your heart, back and forth. And then feel as if your whole inner body was filled with the breath, especially present to the areas we've been focusing on. Is it possible to feel the resonance of space and expansion beyond our breath mechanics? Into the back, into the arms and fingers. And then slowly wiggle your fingers and your toes. And let your head, no effort, just rock side to side, ear falling, other ear falling. Maybe it's like a centimeter with the roll, maybe it's less. And then give yourself a big yawning stretch. And roll off to the side. A way to support your head on maybe your arm or maybe your towel. There's infinite ways to move up and down from the floor. And when we're focusing on the upper body, I like to sometimes let my head come last or let my eyes go first, which are totally different. So I'll just show both, like the pushing the floor away, head last. Could be nice. Or looking up, looking up, and body finding the way. I'm a little more active. Feel what your instinct might be interested in. Been working with some very elder, beautiful humans where just this looking up is like changing everything. So don't forget the power of looking up, like literally, physically, and metaphorically too. Let's gather it all up and look where your hands are going. And then hands together, and we'll look into the heart and just bow in appreciation for all of the wisdom of our own presence and curiosity. Mm. Thank you all, and hope you feel more free upstairs today.